I like the first Godzilla. Well, I mean, as much as like it was cool. You know what I always say is the best thing about these films is whatever promotional materials they release always get me hyped for the film, even if the film is not good. I look at the posters, I'm like, what? It's always the same shit. It'll be like, this is Godzilla, but this is the plane coming at Godzilla, and you're like, wow, he's so big.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Letterboxd 250 podcast. I'm your host, Kyle. I am joined by
Sharik.
and
Simon. He took my whole flow.
Word for word.
I was expecting a long Simon nickname then. I was so
I was thinking of it.
I was waiting for it to come back. I was like,
I'm
you know what it
thinking,
is, Kyle. Just I guess some people got it and some people don't. Maybe it's Maybelline.
How are you guys? Are you okay?
No, he just took my whole flow. Give it back.
I am, however Simon feels at this moment is how I feel.
It's going to be a very
No,
sad podcast.
No, I feel I'm glad. You know what it is? I'm glad to be with the boys. I'm glad to be. I love doing this, guys, with you guys every week. I'm physically very tired. I just come from like playing basketball shit, and I want a hot shower. I'm looking forward to it after this. I'm very hungry, but listen, I saved my energy for this pod. That's it.
Yeah. So, should we get straight into the film, or is there anything you guys want to discuss? So, today we're talking about Pastoral, To Die in the Country. A young boy's coming-of-age tale set in a strange village becomes the recreation of a memory that the director has 20 years later. So, guys, what did you make of the film? Who wants to go first? Oh, Mr. Now not wearing a jumper, would you like to go first?
I took off my jumper before. I don't know if anybody noticed. Like Aunt Viv, I changed up. So, no, what I think about this film, first and foremost, I don't know if you guys realized that this has like two titles. When I was like looking for it, I thought it was like a sequel first because I was like, one's called Pastoral Hide and Seek and one's called Pastoral To Live and Die in the Country, which makes it sound like two wildly different films. Both sound incredibly hard. One sounds like a horror film, and one sounds like not even a war film, but like a spy movie. Like if somebody told me the new James Bond one was called To Live and Die in the Country, I'd be like, whoa, like it would make sense. But this film reminded me very much of like Jodorowsky and like how weird and surreal it was. It was very bright. Like it wasn't like surreal as like a. I've only really seen one David Lynch film, so I can't say that. But like it wasn't like a David Lynch surreal for me. It was more like Jodorowsky with the color, and it was so gorgeous. It reminded me a lot of Wes Anderson as well sometimes, where like every shot looked super specific and it looked like this had been done in a super specific way. From the very beginning of like that first shot with that little girl where she like looks up and the kids go. That was one of the hardest things I've ever seen in my fucking life. The kids run like behind the statues, and then when she like looks directly to the camera, I was like, what? I was watching it too late, and I wasn't high, but I just popped a vitamin, and like it was, it was like I just chewed my gummies, my vitamin gummy, vegan of course, but like it was so uncomfortable. I was like, she's looking at me, and then I noticed all the people. I was like, don't touch that little girl. I was like, no, it was very like I don't know. It just was like this film made me feel things, which is always a great thing for a film to do. Like it was very weird. The story doesn't really. It's like poetry. It was like watching somebody adapt a book of poetry. I found out later a lot of the stuff that was said was his own poems. Like, and apparently it's a very autobiographical and stuff like this. It's very weird, man. It worked for me a lot better than Taste the Cherry. It worked for me a lot better than The Belle and the Song. I enjoyed it. I know not. I'm curious to see what you guys think, because this is very much a vibes film. It's all vibes. A lot of random nudity. A lot of random like just weird stuff. But I appreciated that it was art. Like, there's no other real way to break that. It's art. You could pause at any point in the film, and it would have been just like a stunning shot. Like a lot of people would kill for some of these shots. I was watching it and I felt things. It took me to places I needed to go, and that's what cinema's about. It stretched my own personal belief for what cinema could be. Because I've seen a lot of weird shit. Christopher Nolan, what up, baby? Tenet. But like it's Christopher Nolan, dedicated listener of the pod. He wants to come on for the Inception episode. We're like, nah, bro, relax. But it's just, I don't know, man. What he's done in this film, the director, because he wrote it as well and he directed it. It's something wholly unique, and it's very rare that you come across a film that's like this. I don't know if this is the same effect you guys had, and I would love to know. So I would like to pass off to Simon.
To go off what you were saying, Sharek, about it being a poem, some people were saying that it played out like a haiku, and I kind of do see how that is, and I would like to add that words can't quite do this film justice. It's a joyous blast of useful indiscretions, hippie expressionism, a giddy middle finger to the plane of reality, all of which is set to a squalling psychedelic rock soundtrack.
Yeah, quick question, Simon.
Go ahead.
What website are you reading this off? Because this
is someone's Letterboxd, which I completely fucking disagree with, because I don't see how you got any of this from it. This is literally what you thought Entrance Earth was to you is similar to what this is for me. I don't see explain to me how like you said it kind of expanded what cinema could be for you.
Well, to be completely honest.
Could you elaborate?
Fuck it. We're an honest podcast. Completely honest. Yo, I read that somewhere and I was like, oh, maybe that's a good thing to bring it to the pod. Yo, I read that somewhere. I was like, oh shit. Because this film was a very strange watch. There's no other way to put it. It was a very strange watch.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I really did it. Everything else I said, I did really enjoy it. Do I think I knew cinema could be weird. I've made a lot of weird shit in my life. I didn't think this was quite that. You know what I mean? Cinema could do all these different things. But I read somebody be like, it really transforms what cinema could do. And I was like, it was in the back of my head when I was like going into this. I was like, let me just drop it in. It didn't really transform what I thought cinema could do, but it's different.
On that note, there's been a couple of times where I spoke to someone and said, what did you think of the film? And they've really expertly worded what they think about it. And that same night, I watched a Jeremy Johns review, and I'm like, "Oh my god, they just quoted him word for word."
That's not me. Act like a Jeremy Johns. That's not me. I never, it was just that one specific sentence I read, and it was in the back of my mind. And when I was on my roll and I was killing it, I was just like, "What else can I think?"
And I hate to pull a Kanye, but let me talk for a second, Simon, because I feel like we were about to get into the hard-hitting questions when I haven't given my thoughts yet. So let me just quickly go for what I have to say, and then we'll debate. So, Sharek, I've always kind of got the sense that you're into surrealism and some weird stuff, and it's never been my bag really. And
this to be fair, this has been a lot of our disagreements and stuff.
Yeah,
is you're very much a grounded in reality kind of guy, which is weird considering the sort of stuff that you like. But you're even then you like that to be grounded stuff for reality. I'm like, nah, bro, it's vibes, bro. It's weird, bro.
No, it's not so much grounded in reality. It's if something's weird, it has to be given a reason why it's weird. So this is where my problems with this film come from. There's a really meta aspect of the director challenging his own childhood, and I really dug it. The moment there's a good 20-minute stretch where it's a film with no explanation, and then it cuts to him watching the film itself. Fine. Then I was like, oh, is this going to make me look back at what I've just seen in a different light? And I think from that point onwards, I enjoyed it more than the first 20 minutes. But there was too many moments. Every 5 minutes, there'd be something that reminded me of why I think surrealism can be too dumb. So there's this whole carnival aspect to it, where he constantly visits this carnival and there's some weird characters. That can all go. That's all there for the sake of look how good this looks. And there's these moments where these characters walk by, they look into the camera, pull a funny face, and then leave.
Yeah. Yeah. First time that happened, I was like, whoa. I'm not gonna that part when it kind of added up and they did it again, I was like, all right. I was like, okay.
There are some the meta aspect really worked for me, and I wish they'd went into that more. But there's some stuff that happens for no reason other than it looks good or it's weird or it's different. And like, that's not just a complaint with this film. That's why surrealism is like a genre or a subgenre. It just doesn't work for me anyway. Like, do you know when there's like a film that plays it straight throughout, and then there's like this one scene that's like either like trippy or like they try and be out there just for like, oh, look how artistic we can be for this scene. That's never vibed with me. And there was like this plot I was really interested in this film. But I'll be 1 second.
Yeah, sorry, I my hand is in the light and stuff as well. Like, the Lord himself is shining through me. Good Friday.
It was more, do you know the story about him wanting to run away and like become a man? And he said, he's even like, the girl I wanted to run away with isn't that attractive. Like he said, I never found her that attractive. And I was like, this is so like interesting and an honest portrayal of what like young boys are like. And then I can't explain what the rest of the film, like, I don't know. It doesn't vibe with me. It's not my cup of tea, but I didn't hate it. So, Jared?
I have two follow-up questions to what you're saying, because it's an interesting point. This really, three. Okay, because it's an interesting point what you're saying about surrealism. I'll ask them in order. First and foremost, when you were young, and this is to you as well, Simon, do you guys ever want to run away from home?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I thought about it. I thought it was just me. I thought about that shit. Like, sometimes, but like often enough that I was like, today. I said, nah, it's cold. I'd be like, I look out the window and I'd be like, where am I gonna go? And I'm like, Manchester. Like, I could walk to Manchester. I was like, Manchester's always pretty cool. Like, what would I do? Where would I go?
I always thought about it in like a Stand By Me way, never in like a never coming back way.
No, it was like, because you know you're a kid, and like everything's so drag. You're like, Mom, I want to watch Spider-Man 2, but I could watch it in Manchester.
The biggest fallout me and my mom had was when she didn't take us to see The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yo, you're like, Mom, this is Will Smith's chance of getting an Oscar, and you're robbing him of it.
But yeah, I've never thought about it. But what's your second question?
My second question is going back to the point of like surrealism, where you said you don't really like the element, it's too artsy fartsy, it's a bit too here there. You said a really interesting point just before that, where you said that I'm going to make sure I don't quote it right, because I don't want to sound like I'm just putting words in your mouth. You said you need things to make sense, in the sense of like, you don't just like it when they show you something and don't explain where it's come from or how it's there. Do you feel that's limiting you sometimes in films, or like, or because sometimes you don't need the answers, because inherently a film, the reality of film is within the film in it, whether it's a biopic or whether it's a biopic or whether it's like, you know, Godzilla versus Kong, it's all the reality with that the film itself is presenting to you. So if in that film, for example, just for example, you know, sometimes when they like change little things in a film, where like instead of the FBI, it's the BBI or whatever, like something just weird, like little things like that, you accept that without hesitation, right? Because that's just part of the world. You don't need that explained. Is it just you need enough explained to you that you can go?
I need more consistency, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's a good word.
So, like, an example, I can't believe I'm comparing these films, but let's say like Cherry, for an example. Like, you haven't even seen Cherry, and you know some of the artistic choices they've taken, like with the name tag saying Mr. Whoever, because it's.
I didn't. I have not heard a single person talk about Cherry apart from you.
It was. I like it. It's just like a running joke between us, but there's this stylistic choice where when they go to the bank, like people have got name tags or like the name of the bank. It's just like the most basic, like, this is the bank. That's the title of the bank. Or on his name tag, it says Mr. Whoever, because he doesn't remember who it is. So it's an artistic choice, but with a reason.
Oh, okay.
But like an example of something that wouldn't work for me is let's say there's like a thriller, or like a movie that's a thriller, and then for all of a sudden, the camera lingers on like a duck that walks by for like 10 seconds. Then the film ends and it's never brought back up again. And then people are like, what do you think the duck means? That's the stuff that doesn't work for me. Like those people looking into the camera and pulling those funny faces. What was the reason for that happening?
I think it's all in. I think the beauty of stuff like this, as far as like surreal films and things, is that's all interpretive. It's whatever you want it to mean. Realistically, only the director knows what it actually means. But I think that's the beauty of all art, is that everything's interpretive. It goes back to that stupid thing, like, English teachers used to say when you're at school, like this the curtains were blue because the writer was sad, whatever. But sometimes the curtains just fucking blue,
Yeah.
and it's whatever encoding, decoding. Come on, Simon Stuart Hall, whatever the creator has encoded in the product is left to be decoded by the audience. What did you think it meant when they looked in the camera?
My answer is a response to what you just said. Sometimes I need to feel like the director knows as well.
But he already does, because he put it there.
But
You know what I mean?
From my personal opinion, when they look into the camera and pull those faces, I think he just thought this is going to look kind of weird. That's what I think he thinks. I don't feel like there's any not artistic, but like, I don't feel like there's a reason behind it.
See, the reason I'll disagree with you here is purely because if everything you've seen up until that point, right? I felt the opposite when I was watching this film. Yes, everything was like random and different, but it was clearly there for a I felt like I was watching an author at work, in the sense that, like, he knows what he's doing. Like, from the very first shot, going back to the thing with the little girl where she like looks up and the people are behind, he knows what he's crafted every single shot. And knowing what you and I both know about like filmmaking, or even just simple as like making a documentary, like that we did then, we just had to storyboard all that shit. We still had to make sure every single shot was known. So it never felt like haphazard or just thrown in for me, or like it was just done that way. I just want to go to the third question because I don't want to linger too long. I just want to go to this last point. My third question was, so do you know when you said the whole thing with like the carnival and that, right? It was just weird. I agree with it. It's a question, like sort of statement. I agree with you how like just random the carnival thing was. I just kept going back to it, but I felt like I just accepted it. Did you never like accept it at any point in the film?
I personally never accepted it, but like I was saying earlier, to kind of like contradict myself, there was a consistent weird tone throughout. So it's never even though I was like, oh, why are they doing this? I wasn't like shocked. Imagine if the whole film played it straight and then all of a sudden it did that.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, what the hell is going on now? But like, I kind of knew what to expect.
I think the way you explained it was really like, I finally understand you a bit more, Kyle. Like, I get it.
You know what? On that topic of it's never explained, I can deal with that. Do you know what was a weird movie going experience for me was The Shining, and I won't get too much into it because it's on the list. But there's moments in The Shining that are like never explained, and there's even like continuity mistakes that I think are on purpose. Like there's a scene where Jack Nicholson's talking, then in the next like what's the word like a reverse shot, and then it cuts back to him, and then there's a chair that was behind him that's just gone. And when you know how meticulous Stanley Kubrick is, that's not like an accident. It'd be harder to mess it up than it would be to do it. So that stuff worked for me because it's consistent with the tone of the film. I think the word I'm looking for is consistency.
Yeah.
Like if I go into something knowing it's going to be weird, then I can deal with it. And like I knew this was going to be weird, but it just wasn't my cup of tea.
You knew it was going to be weird, but it was too weird.
And you know what? It was bearable. Like I will give this film credit. It wasn't boring. Like
never was I bored.
But one more thing, and then like I'll pass the floor over because I've spoken a lot about, and I'm more talking about surrealism as a whole than this film. But there's one scene that just made me too uncomfortable. There's like this almost rape scene.
It technically is right.
And the guy's 15, and and I should have done more research into it because it's kind of based on the director's life, unless something's happened to him, and I should have looked this up. But there's no excuse, and if people can find art in that scene, then I
don't think, like, to play devil's advocate in such a weird subject. Like, I don't think people like that scene specifically, rather than that it's his story.
Yeah.
So they just like him telling his story, rather than like they're okay with what happened.
He's reclaiming his trauma almost. It's not so much that, I agree with you. It's not that I liked it, but I think if it's as autobiographical as it seemed to be, I mean, if anything, you feel bad for the director.
Simon, I want to pass the floor to you. What's your thoughts on surrealism? Are you more on my
Yeah,
side
like
or Derek's side?
I'm more on your side. Well, okay, like, actually more in the middle. So
Yeah,
like
more on
I
Kyle's
respect
side. Using
you guys gotta do rock paper scissors.
listen, using surrealism, I don't see your answers.
You know
Okay,
what? I
let's put
feel
it
like
this way. I thought it was so real. Moving on.
Wow. Team
Like
surreal, team so real. That's what we are,
yeah.
Kyle.
I feel like this argument is a metaphor for us as a whole. Like Simon is the best of both worlds of like us. Like I
So
kind of figured you'd be in the middle.
yeah, I'm more in the middle. Yeah. So like for me, like I respect it. And again, let me play devil's advocate here for the both of you. Let's say like the whole the pretentiousness or the avant-gardeness is the reason why the narrative is like fragmented because it is memory.
Yeah.
So let's say that, and so by processing these fragmented narrative, which makes it harder to like follow and makes it incoherent or like you said, not consistent. On that on that note, like it's because it's a reflection of his past, and so and also because of how his memories are processed, and especially because they're not nice ones. Because his whole thing about wanting to kill his mom, what the whole like the rape, let's say apparently it happened. I don't know.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
aren't like good memories you process. So you can argue that the way he processes them makes it harder for him to tell the story properly in a coherent manner. And because towards the end, he even says towards the end of the film, he says, I put it here at like 1:22:07. He says the past can always be rearranged. And then at 1:26, he says, sometimes we don't remember things the way they really happened. Both times he's speaking to his remix self. So you could say that, like I said, to reiterate, the way he processes his memories makes the narrative purposely incoherent and fragmented.
Huh.
And so in that way, it kind of justifies the film being so weird and like like you not liking it because it's not consistent. You could argue that he purposely wanted it that way. That being said, though,
How
it
could it?
wasn't like it
It
was pure vibes.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't really. It didn't really. It wasn't that engaging to me. It wasn't that really engaging. So
I can get on board with the
Yeah.
fragmented memories aspect, and I'll pass over to you, Sherry, because I feel like you was about to say something. But I would like to see a completely different film about. Do you know he sets up the wanting to kill his mum aspect to see what happens? That I was like, is this going to become like an action film? And like, I want to see that film made. Like, someone just like, what would happen if I killed my mom? Like, I think that would be quite cool. But Sherry,
Hope your mother's okay, Kyle. Damn. You're trying to normalize it in culture. Yo, guys, I think we should really start killing our moms. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. What I was gonna say was I think Simon he really just wrapped it up beautifully for me personally. I don't know if you have any last thoughts you want to say about the film, Carl, but Simon wrapped it up perfectly
yeah,
because this film it's somebody looking at their own memories in it, right? It's somebody looking at, and the way we remember memories oftentimes is not the way that they happen. It's the way that we remember that we tend to romanticize things as well. He doesn't really romanticize it. He just kind of
whatever the opposite is.
yeah, whatever the
he even
like
says to his remix little self, "Go burn the house," and he's like, "We haven't had a fire yet," and he's like, "Yeah, because you're gonna do it yourself."
which is it's very it's Fellini.
Yes, neo surrealism. Yeah, we've been
Yeah,
talking about this.
it's like Fellini. It's like Fellini. That's what it reminds me of, the god, my Italian father. But
I
no,
mean,
it's definitely that. Yeah, maybe maybe not my father, maybe great
oh,
uncle. But no, it is. It reminds me of what was the film Fellini did? 8.5.
There is a film.
bicycle thingy.
Eight and a
No,
half. Eight
that's
and a
not
half.
him. Is it?
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about 8.5 now. No, 8.5. Not Bicycle Thieves. It's 8.5. I'm not
Oh.
gonna talk about it now because we're gonna cover it later on the list. But it reminds me a bit of that actually. Now that I think about it, that film's great. Great film. All right, my last thoughts. I'm gonna wrap up and everything. I enjoyed the film. Speaking of you guys, which I always do like that we do this, is that I have a deeper appreciation for the film, a deeper understanding of the film, and I agree with you on some of the points, Kyle. I don't. Maybe I was just. I kind of did the opposite of what you did for Heat. I knew you guys weren't gonna like it as much, so I was ready to come in with the like had it all ready to go. I would rate this film out of 5, 3.5. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Am I gonna ever watch it again? No, but will I pull some stuff from it for references? Yeah, sure. I was already watching it. I was like, yo, that color red is fire. I was like, yo, where can I find that color red? Like there's different things that I saw. It was like it's like a mood board, like a mood board as a film. I was like, this is a mood board. Yeah, I give it 3.5 out of 5. Kyle, how you feeling?
Do you know what? Like, I always do this. I always spend too much time talking about the stuff I didn't like, and then at the end, I'm like, but I also kind of like this. So there was nothing I loved. I liked the plot about running away with the girl, but I have to admit, I didn't hate it. Like, I know it sounds like I hate it, and it's the worst film I've ever seen. It's not. I just need to emphasize this is not my type of film, and I feel like people just need to admit that more often. Because I feel like
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm glad you admitted it because we all know the worst film of all time is Entranced Earth. Go ahead.
And my rating is going to sound harsh now, but you need to remember it's a star more than I gave Entranced Earth. So I would give this 1.5. And that sounds really harsh, but it's not It's not the worst film I've ever seen. And if you like surrealism, you would like it. I think what annoys me more is there's a story in here. There's 2 stories in here that I like would to have been told in a more straightforward narrative. But that's just me and my little brain. So, Simon, you wrap it up. How did you feel?
So for me, like I said, it was a so real, sort of kaleidoscopic, because it's self-reflective, and whatnot. He speaks to his like little remixed self, exploration of childhood. That's only just about engaging because I have to finish the films for this pod. But
yeah, that's so true. If I didn't have to watch it for this, would I have ever watched it? No.
No. I probably would because of the poster. Posters are really like I'm a fiend for nice posters. So
I would have just appreciated the poster from a distance and be like, yeah, some stills, sure.
I probably would have, yeah. Maybe because of the posters, but jokes aside, it was just about engaging because of like how weird it was and how pretentious, let's say, or avant-garde as they say. Because like I do want to see where it was going at the end. And talking about the end, it does like the ending was kind of nice of how he talks about where he was born, and then the house falls apart when he's made peace with his mum. That was his mum in it at the end when he's eating food.
Yeah.
And he makes peace with his mom, and the house falls apart, and he's like, "This is where I am." That's what I, translated it as. I don't know if that was what he intended. And however, the lines between present and past are blurry. And I know I played devil's advocate, saying that it was because of his fragmented narrative, because of his like traumatic past and how he remembers his memories, which made me like I couldn't be asked to figure out what the fuck was happening. But it's not like the film wanted me to anyway. So ultimately, while I respect the audacious and creative endeavor, to reiterate, it wasn't all that special for me, unfortunately. So should I rate it now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it 2.
Okay.
So that's not the worst rating. Like we all gave an Entranced Earth.
I wanna amend my rating actually.
Go on.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Okay.
Because again, I'm never gonna watch it again. And while I appreciate it, that is different from enjoying it. I enjoyed visually; it was stunning to look at. But now, I think if we take in all the rest of the consideration, I'll give it a 3. I think if I think about a bit deep, because what was what did I give the last one we just watched, Days of Our Lives?
Right, I think we all gave it 3, did we?
I gave it 3. You may have given it 3.5.
I gave it 3.5. I enjoyed that film more than this.
No, I gave. What did you watch last? Some Like Your Heart.
No. The Best Years of Our Lives. The
I
war one.
that-
Go ahead, hook for hands.
I gave that 2, or I think I don't know. Whatever.
No, but I gave that a 3. No, I enjoyed that film more than this. It was more watchable. It was more watchable than this. And at the end of the day, what is a film if not watchable?
But on that topic, sometimes you need to you can watch a film and be like, I'm so glad I watched that. But it doesn't have to be the best thing you've ever seen.
It goes back to your point. It's okay to say you don't like something. It's nothing wrong with it. It's okay to enjoy things on different levels. Sometimes you can enjoy something and be like, I'm glad I watched it. this is cool, and you'll never go back to it. And sometimes you would genuinely enjoy it, and you're like, this is fire.
And there's been 2 YouTube critics recently that I've really appreciated. One is Chris Stuckman, and the other one is Simon. Chris Stuckman.
Critics.
Wait, Simon, me ask, wait, is that a joke?
Yeah, no, it's you. Chris Stuckman, he watched Zack Snyder's Justice League and he was reviewing it. And it got to the bit where he'd normally talk about the negatives, and he's like, I don't wanna. Like, he's like, I'm not in the mood to talk about the negatives. Like, the positives outweigh it too much. And like, I think that film was like an exception where it was like, it's just a director like giving his vision, and there was no need to like rip it to shreds. And then Simon, when you were talking about Heat, you was like, do you know when it's too hard to put into words how you feel?
Yeah.
And like, because it's one of your favorites, there's nothing wrong with just saying that. And I think when you're online and you have to review it, it is harder to do. Like, imagine if David Elrich for like IndieWire just put those vibes, man. Just watch it.
That's the beauty of, I guess, us as a podcast, and I guess us as like real people, not just this entity we are online right now.
The AI we are.
You know, it sounds so pretentious when I wave my one hand and I go, not the entity we are right now, but like, you know, as what we are.
Yeah, us is them.
But
machine.
No, but my whole thing is you know, the excitement that we can, like, if I go to you, I'm like, yo, you have to watch this. You're gonna watch it because you're like, yo, why is he excited? We convey that, and that's how it really is when your friend says something to you, right? If you go to me, I'll give you an example. You said you said to me you gotta watch Cherry, right? You should watch Cherry. I am gonna watch it because you told me to. I was gonna watch it anyway, but I'm watching it because I want to watch it more, because the way you described it to me, you were like, yo, it's sick, and then this happens, and I really liked it, and it's like this and that. So I'm like, okay, I want to watch Cherry. It was the same way you described Joker to me. You like changed my life. It was the most visionary thing I'd ever seen, and that made me want to go back and watch Joker again.
I thought you were being serious.
I still think it's hot garbage, but like, my opinion on Joker is, we're not going to get into that now. I think it's on the list somewhere in it. But, well, I think it's on the list somewhere, honestly.
It's not.
Top 10 last time I checked.
I want about more. To be fair, I like Joker, and I didn't put it that way to you, but I thought about the Cherry thing. There was no point where I was like, Cherry is sick. If anything, I said you should watch it because you'll like the vibes.
No, but even then, I paraphrase. But
Cherry, like, just quickly, whilst we're on this tangent, like before we wrap it up on this tangent, it wasn't even that bad of a film. Like, if you look up through the people you follow on the thingy or the list, he gave it. Did you give it like 3? I gave it a 3, I think.
What, Cherry or Joker?
Everyone else gave it like 1, 2, and I'm like, where is this coming from?
I think recently people are in that mindset where it's either the best thing they've ever seen or the worst thing they've ever seen. There's no middle ground anymore. And I think, what's Sharrett got planned?
Everyone's a critic.
And on that topic, this next segment, there's no segue. I tried to force it there. This is where we talk about what we've been watching this week. I'll go first. I never
Please
really
do.
go first.
I spoke too much.
Yeah, this is where like all my credibility goes out the window. It's like, yeah, that seminal surrealism hypnotic masterpiece wasn't my cup of tea, but this monkey versus dinosaur, it's dumb fun. The human characters never really like gel in these films, but
never once.
You get your money's worth for like the fights, basically. That's all I want to say.
Can I ask a question? I'm going to ask it anyway. I already did when I said, can I ask a question? I'm going to ask a follow-up question. Can I skip through the human parts? Because I think the beauty of being at home, right, is when I watched Godzilla 2, the King of Monsters one at cinemas, I couldn't actually see what was going on, which made it really because like it was shot so like dark, and it would only light up when you did like the breath. So I had no idea what happened in that film. But I just wanted to see monsters fight and shit in it, so I didn't even get my full money's worth with that. All the human parts were the worst. Do you remember like Millie Bobby Brown's mom was like trying to save the earth? It was so fucking stupid, her plan. But like, because she released Ghidorah in it, she released him because she's like, he's gonna stop global warming. And I'm like, no, he won't. He shoots fire breath. What's wrong with you? But they did that shit right. And for the life of me, I couldn't remember what their plan was. Can I skip all the human parts of Godzilla vs. Kong and still enjoy the film?
You could, I will personally recommend. I completely agree. I would completely agree with you about the Godzilla King of the Monsters. Human parts were like dull as hell.
That film was dull as hell.
This is at least kind of dumb, where it's
But like dumb fun.
It never leans into it as much as it should.
Oh man.
But it is dumb.
It's only like 1 hour 50 anyway, so it will go by quickly. You won't.
It is pretty short. It's worth the watch.
It's really straightforward. It keeps driving.
I'm excited to watch it but you know what it was? I liked the first Godzilla. Well, I mean, as much as like it was cool. You know what I always say is the best thing about these films is whatever promotional materials they release always get me hyped for the film, even if the film is not good. I look at the posters, I'm like, what? It's always the same shit. It'll be like, this is Godzilla, but this is the plane coming at Godzilla, and you're like, wow, he's so big.
The King of the Monsters trailer, I will say this with my chest, is one of the best trailers of all time.
One of the worst films I've ever seen.
Except for the classical music, it's such a good trailer.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. I was so hyped for that film, and I'm not even a big MonsterVerse guy, but I just come back from Tokyo, so I've seen all of the like Godzilla shit there. I was gassed. Like I was gassed for the film more than I'd ever been in my life. Everything was coming together, right? And if you think Godzilla's a big thing here, like how big it was here, imagine in fucking Tokyo. I've met Godzilla, like he's the size of the building, and he goes over. He breathes fire every hour on the hour, like Big Ben does TikTok. That's insane.
Sharek, what have you been watching this week?
Because we do this podcast, and how I was shamed in the first 3 episodes because I hadn't watched anything. I thought I have to watch something this week because otherwise, or at least lie that I saw something so I can, keep my standings going and hold strong. So this week, did I or didn't I? But I saw Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is a 5-star. It's my personal favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. I don't know if it's my favorite Edgar Wright film because that man makes so many bangers. Like honestly, the problem is he makes so many good films that the issue is like, which is my favorite of all of his good films, right? Hot Fuzz, I feel, is the most rewatchable. Baby Driver is pretty rewatchable. Scott Pilgrim's the one I've seen the most, and that's rewatchable. I mean, out of the Cornetto trilogy, I have like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. The World's End is not as bad as everybody says. I think it's better.
Is it bad?
No, people obviously look at it as the weakest of the 3. Yeah. It's not as bad as everyone says. And Shaun of the Dead's great, but some parts haven't aged so well, and like even then, it's a good film, but like. Hot Fuzz just works. It you can see Edgar Wright leveling up in real time, right? In some of his choices and the way he does. But all of the gags are so well written, but so is like the plot and how everything calls back. Like how Nicholas Angel is like the most dedicated like cop, but like he's this and he's that and everything about him. The funniest thing to me is I was thinking about this because this is like I think it was my second time watching the film. I'd seen it once before. And it's a great film. Like it flies by. I can't even remember how long it is because I think it's like 2 hours or something. It's just a really good film. It's very well written, very well directed. The whole cast is crazy. Kate Blanchett's in it for a minute, which is always so lovely. With her, you can just recognize her eyes. If you know Kate Blanchett.
Some good milk.
The cast is insanely stacked. So Timothy Dalton is hilarious in this film. He's so fucking funny. The whole cast is so effective. Like, even that, like the minor characters are hilarious. Like even like oftentimes a minor character always get one joke and they don't. They never make anything feel like it's not developed. Case in point, right? All the way at the beginning of the film, like when he first gets to I can't remember the name of the town off the top of my head. But when he first gets to the place, right? And they tell him, "Oh, you gotta watch out. Even the farmer's mothers have like guns here, like stuff like that." And then there's a scene all the way later in the 3rd act where they're like, he's getting back to the town after everything that's happened, right? After he like escaped the town, he's coming back. He's going to the farmer thing. He takes down the farmer. The farmer's mother comes out with a giant shotgun. That's what I mean. It's so well written, and it's constantly a rewarding film. I always say Edgar Wright's films are like, if you were like left with like, this is the only sort of film you can watch, 5 films, these are the only things you can watch. He's one of those directors who makes films that constantly get better on rewatches, and not everybody can do that. Like, if I had to pick a desert island director, you know what I mean? If you had to take a desert island, that's a fun idea. Actually, we should keep that for the pod.
The podcast.
I mean, let's the pod. Yeah, pod.
Don't tell the fans.
Yeah, don't tell the fans when we're doing desert island directors. But I think this film is amazing. I'll give it a 5. I'll wrap up because into the recommendations we have to go. Hot Fuzz is really good.
Yeah.
I didn't have a recommendation planned. I was gonna see what came to me during the podcast, and now I have one. So of course I'm gonna go for my favorite in the Cornetto trilogy, which is of course The World's End.
Whoa! Tell me why you love it, Kyle.
It's one of those, I go for them a lot for the recommendations. It's got like sentimental value. I was first shown it in media in secondary school, which I was in class with Simon. And I won't spoil it if you haven't seen The World's End, but there's this 5-minute like opening montage. He gives the whole plot away in that montage. If you watch it, like he explains everything that's going to happen.
He does the same thing in Hot Fuzz.
I think he might even do it.
Maybe
he's like back to the bar, have a couple of shots. It's so clever. Like if he ever does like a 4th edition, like people are going to be listening to every word of the opening montage. But yeah, there's part of me, because I watched it in school, there's part of me that's always going to like attach myself to the main character, Andy King. And at the start where it's kind of depressing to say it, but like, he peaks in school and he's like,
oh man,
I would do anything to go back. I feel like we all worry we're going to end up like that. And
no, I think that's just you.
But the protagonist, he's a dick, but he's got like good intentions, and like he's got like, I think he's the best written character in these films, in my opinion. And there's just there's just like even little gags that like I've noticed, like I reference every day. Like I have a friend called Owen who I now call O-Man from the show. That's what Martin Freeman's character is called as a nickname. And if you ever see like 3 people with like 2 colored hair, like 2 people share the same hair, and then the one in the middle has a different hair, I always call them the marmalade sandwich from this film. It's just like stupid little jokes, and like I find myself quoting them every day. And I think Shaun of the Dead's probably the best film in the trilogy, but The World's End is the one. If I had to like watch one for the rest of my life, I'd probably watch that because it's just a blast.
So for me, like it's the same thing with Heat. Like Shaun of the Dead was the first thing I watched of any Edgar Wright thing, and it was just so perfect. Like I don't think I blinked for like at least 20 minutes when I was watching this film. Just so phenomenal. Man, and I had it on my netbook that we used to take to school all the time. It was one of the first first 3 films I downloaded and kept for so long from like year 7.
So what was it? Is this The World's End or Shaun of the Dead?
Shaun of the Dead.
Oh. Is that your recommendation for this week?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Fucking phenomenal, bro.
But Sharif, what's your recommendation?
Well, guys, I see how you recommended Shaun of the Dead. I see how you recommended The World's End. It's only right if I complete, the trilogy. Guys, my recommendation for this week is 2004's Hitch. 2005's Hitch. Hitch is a film starring Will Smith, Eva Mendes, and Kevin James in what is his best role? Maybe Paul Blart, but no, it's this. No, it's Hitch. Hitch is my favorite Will Smith film. This was Shark Tale. And Hitch is one of those films that's so endlessly like watchable. We talk a lot about watchable films on this podcast, right? Hitch, like all the jokes work. It hasn't aged badly. Like, a lot of these like rom-coms do tend to age badly, especially the ones in the 2000s. They're all like, "Hey guys," and like they'll say like a homophobic slur. You're being gay, man. Like, ooh, stop, whatever. This is like an open celebration of like male friendship in like a nice way, not in a American Pie terrible way. Like, sex was still for his mom. It's not like that. It's like he wants to help Kevin James. Really means it. When a douchebag guy comes up to him and is like, "Yo, can you help me pick up this girl, bro?" Yeah, I'm a bad guy because I talk like this. He's like, "No, I only do it for love. Like, what I mean? I do it for the right reason." And he's like, "I'll give you the guy gives it like a ridiculous number. He's like, "I'll give you $1 million if you help me bang this chick, bro." Whoa. He's like, "No, I don't do it for the money." And he walks away. It's Will Smith at his he's such a good rom-com lead, and I'm actually sad he hasn't done as many rom-coms really, because obviously he already has that natural like comedic presence. I would rather he have done more rom-coms than like action films, because he's not great in them action films. You see Bad Boys for Life when he fought his son. I was like, shut the fuck up, man. I don't believe this. He's like, who? I'm like, yo, that man should have kicked your ass 5 times over. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Bad Boys 2 is a classic film, as is Bad Boys 1. But
Who's the best one?
2 is the best. 2 is the best one.
Insane.
Bar nothing. That chase is the action sequences are insane. But
Doesn't the first car chase go on for like 20 minutes?
bro,
Like,
it starts off with them at the 2 is the best because of everything, the soundtrack, the vibe, Gabrielle Union. There's
the
a bit where
opening scene with the KKK.
KKK, and then the music that comes on. Puff Daddy did the entire soundtrack, so it's crazy. It's "Shake Your Tail Feather" by Nelly, P Diddy, and Murphy Lee.
Oh,
And it
what a
goes,
song.
ah, it's like shake your floor, shake your ass, and and they're like killing all these drug dealers. It's just insane. But yeah, Hitch is my pick. I love Hitch. I just think it's a sweet film, and I think there's not enough sweet films. And I think it's one of my favorite rom-coms. It's a top 2 rom-com for me. And it's actually, weirdly enough, because I can see it right there, it's the first film I ever got on Blu-ray.
Simon, didn't you give this film like 5 stars on Letterboxd?
Yeah, it's a 5-star film.
Like Will Smith, like he what's the word? Oh fuck, man, what's the word when someone excels? He excels when he serves people in films. £7. He needs to do one more just to hit a hat trick.
He tried
serves
it.
people's needs. He just helps people. Like After Earth, we don't count that. He's not like, I get he's trying to save his planet, but like we don't see that. Like he just needs another film where he's grounded in reality, where he helps out people, everyday people. That's what he needs to do to get an Oscar.
This film is what Hitch gave me one of my favorite Parks and Rec jokes, where in Parks and Recreation, there's in the last season they go in like the future, and the future, because the season aired in 2015, but the future was like 2020, so it was like 5 years ahead. And they were like, "What? I can't." And then Tom Hanks was like, "What? I can't believe you got me the shoes that Jada Smith wore in Hitch 2, Son of a Hitch." And it's one of the funniest jokes, because it's the way he says it. He goes, "Hitch 2, Son of a Hitch." I would love Hitch 2, Son of a Hitch. Honestly, if Jada Smith wanted to do Hitch 2, Son of a Hitch.
You know, because I watched the rom-com he did lately with Cara
Oh
Delevingne.
no, but that's like that. You know, it's a cancer com. You know what I mean? It's a rom cancer com.
If he can't do cancer com, he can't.
No,
Cancer
cancer com. Everybody can do, and they're all the exact same film. Bro, I can name you 6 cancer coms off the top of my head. They're not comedies. There's no way you could call them coms.
Sounds like you're saying cancer con, like it's a convention.
Rom.
That's just hospital.
like a rom. Jesus Christ. No, like a you know what I mean? That genre of film. You got The Fault in Our Stars.
That's one, yeah.
Bro, they pull out so many of these like shows.
You and Dying Girl.
Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
3
5 feet apart.
Yeah.
5 feet apart. They had the one where that guy kills himself at the end, just played by Justice Smith. All the small things, all the bright things.
That one, yeah.
Whatever, right? You've got this. You got this film that you're just talking about now. I forgot what it's called. I already forgot what it's called.
I didn't name it, bro.
The one with Cara Delevingne. What's his name? Alex Wolff, bro. There's in at least 4 of them. Paper Towns. There's so many of these ridiculous.
Cara Delevingne again.
Cara Delevingne again. There's so many of them, and the twist is always, I can't be with you because I have cancer. And then the other twist will always be, it's okay, she's alive, but he dies. I'm like, it's so dumb, and it's clearly just made for like 12-year-old girls, bro. And like, I remember when The Fault in Our Stars came out. This isn't relevant, but I'm going to share it because I never get to share this enough. I just come off a successful production of Macbeth. Like earlier in the week, I just did 2 back-to-back sold-out shows of Macbeth. So, we were like
Michael Fassbender for a second, and like he was actually
Fassbender was in the crowd. He was like, "Yo, I steal some of this shit." He's like, "Whoa!" He like wrote that shit. I wasn't even Macbeth. I played Malcolm. Malcolm's the most important role. I had to give the last speech at the end of it because I become like King of Scotland. And my speech was different on both nights. And then I couldn't say the word Scotland without going into the accent. And I'd do it on stage. And nobody clocked, but the drama teacher clocked every time. And he was so vexed. And I said to him, "Yo, sir, we killed it." That first night I said to him, because everyone thought I didn't know my lines. I said to him, "Yo, we just killed it. We did amazing." You know, he said to me, he said, "Scotland." Like he just said it in the voice. I went, "What a dick." Second night, I go, "Listen, I learnt my lines. I did the job. Did we not kill it?" Everyone's gassing me up. They're like, "Yo, you killed it. You killed it. Oh, I'm so proud of you." He goes, "Now imagine if you were like that 2 weeks ago." I said, "What do you want from me, fam?" Sorry.
From Whiplash. There are no 2 words more harmful than good job. So thank him.
No, he's an asshole. Moving forward, that Friday, right? Everybody, like the day The Fault in Our Stars came out, every cinema in town was packed. Everybody was just, there was like 8. I wanted to watch 22 Jump Street. There was 8 screens, all showing Fault in Our Stars at the Odeon, at the City World, and there was one screen for 22 Jump Street. Me and my boys went, and there was like 2 of it. There was 3 of us all in all. We went to watch that film, and we were like, it was like the most empty cinema I've been in. I've been in cinemas by myself, and this was the most empty cinema I've been in my life. I can't describe it. I was with 2 other people. It was one of the best screenings I've ever had. I loved 22 Jump Street. But everybody was crying on the way home. Everybody was all talking about like the Fault in Our Stars. And I was like, man, I hope he died. And they're like, yeah, he did die. And I was like, oh shit.
It was a big film, man. Like Tumblr was like Twitter and Tumblr.
Yo, yeah, Tumblr and Twitter.
Littered.
Yo, John Green needs to free this hole he had on my people.
Oh my god.
I never forgot. He's like, man's trying to tell me Fault in Our Stars is better than Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, kiss my ass. Kiss my beautiful brown ass. Winter Soldier was actually the best film out of all of them. Go forward.
But Simon, did you like The Fault in Our Stars?
Back then, I wouldn't say it was a bad film from what I remember. It was just like I didn't see.
I watched it much later than everyone. Like I watched it, I think like a year or 2 ago. It was on TV, so like I'd never seen it, and I ended up just watching it. And that film is ass. That film was a fucking 2-pack of ass. That's just terrible. The whole thing is like, she's like, oh, it's like for edgy people who like to smoke and listen to Arctic Monkeys, and that was their whole personality. Like not even smoke, but just retweet people like black and white images of people like smoking. When I watched it, I was like, man, I feel like I'm on Tumblr again.
What was that saying about cigarettes? Like
cigarettes. I love a cigarette after sex. I'm like, you're 14.
But it's not about thinking. It's about. It's not. I'm not actually smoking. It's a metaphor.
Bro, the wildest line in that film, right, was they used her Make-A-Wish. She had a Make-A-Wish, and they used it to go to Amsterdam to meet her favorite writer. And the writer was like Willem Dafoe or something. And then you go to meet her writer. The writer's like, fuck off. And I could not stop laughing. I was like, I watched it like it was a comedy. I could not stop laughing. It was hilarious, right? And then doesn't Willem Dafoe also die of the same cancer that she has? And then the wife sends like a little note, and then she reads the note, and the writer's like, "Be who you want to be." Like it's the most like generic statement you could have wrote. I don't even know if he wrote that shit. I think it was typed out. It was the dumbest shit. And then all of this happens, and at the end, he just dies. The boyfriend just dies. And he was like, by the way, I had cancer the whole time. He goes, I know I said it went away, but I lied because you deserved your magical trip. And then she recovers. And it all takes place over like 3 weeks.
So let's wrap it up with the final recommendation.
Wait, no, Kyle. Did you like The Fault in Our Stars?
Yeah.
You did it.
I haven't seen it in like 5 years, but I remember liking it at the time.
Did you cry?
But like the thing is, like, no, but I remember like everyone in the year did. Like all the lads liked it.
Yeah.
But, like, I remember Simon liked it.
Did you just use Simon for validation there because you knew I was gonna rip into The Fault in Our Stars?
You don't give a shit what you say.
No, the way he was like, Simon, you liked it, right? Because you knew I was about to pray for me.
Let's wrap it up with the final recommendation. I feel like there's an obvious group pick. We've done 2 out of the 3. Should we put in?
I knew we were gonna put it in, so I didn't pick it.
I thought you were gonna say Hitch. I'm not gonna lie again.
No, I've done Hitch 2 instead of a Hitch.
Do you know what's gonna drive people with like OCD insane? There's like a list on Letterboxd of all the recommendations, and it's gonna go The World's End, Shaun of the Dead, Hitch. and then Hot Fuzz.
It's fine. You know what it is? I was gonna say Hot Fuzz, but one I was going last anyway, so I knew it was gonna. But also, it was. Do we not have a separate list of stuff that we watched?
We have like a list of everything that we mentioned.
The Fault in Our Stars is going on that list, isn't it?
And on that note,
yeah, Hot Fuzz is the last pick. We've all talked about it. We all love it, guys. I just want to know your rankings for Hot Fuzz. Because you never said 5. I'll give it 5.
Oh, all 3 of them 5 to me. I think maybe.
Yeah. I'd give World's End and Shaun of the Dead 5 as well. I just haven't. Well, actually, no. I'd give them 4s. Hot Fuzz is the best one for me. Like clearly.
I would give the World's End 5. Shaun of the Dead 4.5. I'd need to rewatch Hot Fuzz, but at the moment it's a 4, so it's still higher. But like,
so it's but that's still great. I need to rewatch Shaun of the Dead, and I've seen Hot Fuzz the most out of them. I need to rewatch Shaun of the Dead. I need to rewatch The World's End. I remember I really enjoyed both of them. I might have even given them a 5. I don't know. I'd be going off vibes. No,
Shaun
I'm
of the
joking.
Dead, World's End, Hot Fuzz.
Yo, you guys don't. When's the last time you guys watched Hot Fuzz? Because
Ages ago,
I
back on
haven't
TV, like
Yeah,
Christmas
like
time.
10
Like,
years.
yeah, ITV. I think if you guys rewatch Hot Fuzz now, because I liked it even more than last time. Like I think if you guys rewatch Hot Fuzz, I think you'll be surprised how much you love that film. Simon, you'd have to actually watch a film properly, but I'm sure you did. I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love you. I love you. Ah, I'm just breaking your balls. Yeah.
I've been Kyle.
Sorry.
I thought we might have got a
give
nick.
my flow back.
CineLads. We've been